The morning sunlight spilled gently through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Diane Carter's lakefront apartment in downtown Chicago. At 40, Diane carried herself with a calm, steady grace that spoke of a life rooted in clarity and values. Her chestnut-brown skin glowed naturally under the warm light as she stood in her kitchen, sipping coffee from her favorite ceramic mug, eyes lingering on the waters of Lake Michigan that shimmered just beyond her balcony. To the outside world, Diane might have seemed like just another woman enjoying a slow morning. But those who knew her understood the quiet power behind her presence. She had never needed to shout her worth. Her strength came from within, from lived experience, from self-respect, and from the kind of wisdom that only time could teach. Though married to Jonathan Carter, a billionaire investment mogul and founder of Carter Global Capital, Diane had never let wealth define her. She had always believed that money was a tool, not a trophy. Their apartment was undeniably luxurious, yet free of unnecessary extravagance. She didn't chase designer labels or the latest trends. Her preferred outfit? A soft navy sweatshirt with Chicago printed across the chest and her well-worn jeans, comfortable, honest, and real. "Are you sure you don't want me to come with you?" Jonathan called out as he adjusted his tie in the hallway. Diane smiled softly and shook her head. "I've got this," she replied. "You know how I feel about car shopping." Jonathan chuckled knowingly. "That's why I married you." The couple's dynamic had always been a beautiful paradox. Jonathan navigated boardrooms and billion-dollar deals, while Diane kept their lives grounded. Despite his offers over the years to replace her aging sedan, she always declined. She wasn't one to make a purchase just for show. If she was going to buy a new car, it would be on her terms, and for reasons that mattered to her: sustainability, practicality, and comfort. Now, after more than a decade, her old sedan had finally given out. But even this, she treated with quiet independence. She'd spent weeks researching the best environmentally friendly vehicles with high safety ratings. And when she made her decision, she did it deliberately, not with impulse, but with care. Diane tucked her wallet into her crossbody bag, making sure to slide in Jonathan's sleek black titanium card. She rarely used it. In fact, she prided herself on using her own modest credit card. But buying a car was different. This was a large purchase, and one she intended to handle responsibly. As she stepped out into the Chicago spring air, keys in hand, Diane had no idea that what began as a simple Tuesday morning would soon turn into a defining moment, not just for her, but for everyone who still judged a book by its cover. Prestige Auto Gallery, nestled in Chicago's upscale Gold Coast neighborhood, stood like a modern-day cathedral of consumerism, its glass facade gleaming in the sunlight, polished metal trim reflecting the grandeur it sought to project. The building wasn't just selling vehicles, it was selling status. Diane Carter's well-worn sedan pulled up to the valet parking zone, its quiet engine stalling briefly before she turned off the ignition. On either side of her were high-end machines, sleek convertibles, glossy SUVs, and glistening performance cars that looked more like museum pieces than something you'd drive down Lakeshore Drive. Unfazed by the contrast, Diane straightened her Chicago sweatshirt and stepped out. Her bag was slung casually across her chest, and her natural curls were tucked neatly beneath a lightweight head wrap. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She was simply here to look at cars. As she walked into the showroom, Diane was struck by the space's extravagance: marble floors polished to a mirror shine, crystal chandeliers overhead, and a scent in the air that reminded her of an expensive department store, clean, cold, and calculated. A soft classical piano melody played in the background, setting a refined tone. Scattered throughout the space were salesmen, 4 of them, all dressed in near-identical tailored navy blue suits. They stood like statues, perfectly still, perfectly groomed, perfectly uninterested. Diane took her time walking through the showroom. She admired a shimmering gold sedan, then paused beside a sleek black SUV, running her hand lightly along its fender. Still, no one approached. Not even a polite greeting or a "let me know if you need help." Moments later, a couple entered behind her. The man wore a sharp three-piece suit, and the woman dripped in designer labels. Within seconds, two salesmen glided toward them, smiling broadly, their postures suddenly alive with energy. Diane couldn't help but smile to herself. This wasn't new. As a black woman who preferred comfort over couture, she'd walked into spaces like this before, where silence could scream louder than words. Finally, after nearly 15 minutes, a younger salesman broke ranks and walked toward her. He looked fresh out of college, nervous but curious. "Can I help you, ma'am?" he asked, glancing toward her worn jeans. "Just looking for now," Diane said warmly, "but I am in the market for a new car." He hesitated, then nodded. "Well, feel free to ask if you have any questions. These models can be a bit premium for most budgets." Diane raised an eyebrow but said nothing. Instead, she pointed to the golden sedan she'd admired earlier. "I'm actually interested in this one. The Crown Victoria Sovereign. The hybrid model with the advanced safety suite." The young man blinked, surprised by her knowledge. "Yes, that's right," he said. "You really know your stuff." "I do my research," Diane replied with a smile. And just like that, the tone shifted. But little did Diane, or the young salesman, know, they were no longer alone in that conversation. Someone else was watching, and he didn't like what he saw. As Diane Carter and the young salesman, Marcus Thompson, continued their discussion, the atmosphere between them began to warm. Diane asked intelligent, well-researched questions about the hybrid performance, battery lifespan, and even the regenerative braking system. Marcus, initially cautious, now spoke with genuine enthusiasm. He was impressed, not just by her knowledge, but by her poise and clarity. For him, this wasn't just a sales pitch anymore. It was a real conversation with someone who knew what she wanted. But that moment of professional sincerity didn't go unnoticed. From across the showroom, a sharply dressed man with slicked-back silver hair and an air of manufactured confidence had been watching. Rick Dawson, the senior salesman, prided himself on reading people within the first 30 seconds. Into his eyes, Diane didn't fit the mold of a typical prestige auto gallery client. No jewelry. No designer bag. No makeup. Her body language said calm and confident, but her wardrobe said not worth my time. Rick crossed the floor with practiced ease and inserted himself smoothly into the conversation. "Marcus," he said, with a tight smile, "the Andersons need help finalizing their paperwork. I'll take it from here." Marcus hesitated. "Yes, sir," he said, glancing apologetically at Diane. "It was a pleasure speaking with you, ma'am." As Marcus stepped away, Rick turned his full attention to Diane, eyeing her casually before speaking. "I see you're interested in the Sovereign," he said, his tone neutral but edged with condescension. "It's our flagship model. Starts at $175,000. Diane nodded, unfazed. "Yes." Marcus was walking me through the infotainment features. Rick leaned against the car with casual authority. "It certainly is impressive. Though, we do have more accessible models if you're looking for something in a different price range." The implication was unmistakable. Diane's warm smile didn't waver. "Actually," she replied evenly, "I've done my research. The Sovereign is what I'm here for. The performance, the safety features, the eco-conscious design, it checks every box I have." Rick arched a brow. At this price point, most of our clients are more interested in horsepower than carbon footprint. "I'm not most of your clients," Diane answered calmly. "Well," he said, glancing at her sweatshirt and crossbody bag, "if you're serious about the Sovereign, we can discuss financing options. These vehicles typically require strong credit and substantial down payments." "That won't be necessary," Diane said, locking eyes with him. "If I decide to purchase, I'll be paying in full. Today." For the first time, Rick faltered. The confident salesman's smile flickered with uncertainty, replaced by disbelief. "Of course," he said quickly, shifting his posture. But Diane could see it in his eyes. He didn't believe her. Not really. To him, she was still just a woman who didn't look the part. And even as he tried to recover his professionalism, the damage was already done. What he didn't realize was that he had just made a mistake he wouldn't soon forget. The tension in the showroom had thickened like a humid summer afternoon in Chicago. Rick Dawson, the seasoned salesman, stood tall and confident, at least on the surface. He had just dismissed Diane Carter in front of several customers and his colleagues, waving his hand and declaring with cold finality, "You clearly don't have the money for this." His voice had been loud enough for everyone within 30 feet to hear. A hush fell over the gleaming showroom. Conversation stalled. The classical piano music continued to play, ironically underscoring the awkward silence. Even the receptionist at the front desk had paused mid-keystroke, her eyes wide. Diane, however, didn't flinch. She remained perfectly still, standing by the golden Sovereign with both hands resting gently on the doorframe. Her expression was unreadable, but her silence spoke volumes. After a long pause, she finally responded. "That's quite an assessment, Mr. Dawson, based on very little information." Rick crossed his arms, clearly doubling down. "It's based on 15 years of experience," he said stiffly. "I know a serious buyer when I see one." "Oh?" Diane said, tilting her head ever so slightly. "And what exactly about me tells you I'm not serious?" There it was, the quiet challenge, posed with dignity. Rick didn't have a real answer. His eyes shifted to her casual clothes, her lack of makeup, her practical crossbody bag. He said nothing, but the message was loud and clear. Diane took a breath and reached slowly into her bag. Her movements were deliberate, her posture relaxed but focused. She withdrew a sleek black wallet and opened it with care. From it, she slid out a card, no ordinary credit card, but a black titanium American Express, reserved for ultra-high net worth individuals with multi-million-dollar spending power. She held it up just enough for Rick to see. "Perhaps this will help you reconsider your assumptions," she said softly. Rick stared at the card, his smug demeanor cracking into something far less certain. His eyes widened just slightly, the color draining from his face. He stammered, but the words caught in his throat. "Yes," Diane said, slipping the card back into her wallet. "It is." By now, others in the room had caught on. A few onlookers exchanged whispers. The receptionist was already on the phone, likely calling the showroom manager. Even Marcus, watching from across the room, looked visibly stunned, but proud. Rick scrambled to recover. "Miss Carter, if I had known." "But you didn't," Diane interrupted gently. "And that's the point." She stepped away from the vehicle, her voice steady as she looked him squarely in the eye. "You didn't ask who I was. You didn't ask what I needed. You just assumed. And I think we both know why." Rick had no answer. His confidence, once untouchable, now hung by a thread. As the weight of Diane Carter's words lingered in the air, Rick Dawson stood motionless, his professional mask crumbling. He had misjudged her, gravely and publicly. The woman he had tried to dismiss now held the attention of the entire showroom. Every salesperson, every customer, even the receptionist had stopped what they were doing to listen. Just then, the showroom manager, Mr. Alan Harris, a man in his late 50s with salt and pepper hair and the burden of damage control written across his face, approached the scene with practiced composure. "Miss Carter," he began with a measured tone, "I understand there's been a misunderstanding." Diane turned toward him, her expression calm but resolute. "Not a misunderstanding, Mr. Harris. A judgment. I assure you," Harris continued, "that Mr. Dawson's behavior doesn't reflect the values of Prestige Auto Gallery. We value all of our customers equally." Diane didn't let him off the hook. "Then perhaps you can explain why I stood in this showroom for 15 minutes without anyone offering assistance, until a young associate finally stepped up." Mr. Harris glanced around nervously. The sales team shifted uncomfortably. Rick was now ghost pale, visibly sweating. "We sincerely apologize," Harris said. "And if you're still interested in the Sovereign, I'd be happy to offer you an exclusive discount and handle the sale personally. You'll receive VIP treatment from this moment forward." Diane considered the offer for a moment. Then, with grace and clarity, she shook her head. "I appreciate the offer, but no," she said. "Respect isn't something that starts after a card is shown. It should be extended from the moment someone walks through your doors." She turned to Marcus, the young salesman who had treated her with basic human decency from the start. "Marcus," she said warmly, "you were professional and respectful from the very beginning. Thank you for that. It didn't go unnoticed." He nodded, visibly humbled. "It was my pleasure, ma'am." Diane then turned back to Harris and Rick, her tone firm but without malice. "You see, this wasn't about the car. And it certainly wasn't about the money. This was about how you treat people, especially those who don't look like your typical buyer." Rick, now shrinking into himself, mumbled, "I truly am sorry, Miss Carter." "I believe you are," Diane replied, "but I also believe the apology comes only after realizing who I am, not because you recognized the mistake in how you treated me." The silence that followed was deafening. With poise, Diane addressed the room. "I came here to buy a car. What I found instead was a reminder, one that too many people still face every day. We are judged not by our character, but by our clothes, our skin, or our zip code." She paused, then added, "That's not just unfortunate, it's unacceptable." With that, she turned toward the exit. The golden Sovereign glistened behind her, untouched. Diane Carter's quiet exit from Prestige Auto Gallery felt louder than any confrontation could have. As the glass doors closed gently behind her, the air inside the showroom remained heavy. Conversations didn't immediately resume. The usual buzz of high-end sales had been replaced by murmurs of reflection, and, in some corners, regret. Back inside, showroom manager Alan Harris stood frozen for a moment before springing into action. Staff members huddled in discreet groups, eyes flicking back and forth between the empty doorway and Rick Dawson, whose confidence had been stripped bare in front of his colleagues and clients. Even the receptionist had stopped typing and was now whispering into the phone, likely to corporate. By the time Diane reached her car, parked humbly between a black Escalade and a silver Porsche, Harris was already rushing outside. "Miss Carter," he called, breath slightly labored as he jogged to her window. She rolled it down halfway, hands calm on the steering wheel. "I wanted to let you know," he said, still catching his breath, "that Mr. Dawson has been suspended, effective immediately. I've also contacted our regional director." he's personally reviewing the matter." Diane nodded politely but said nothing. "I know it may not matter now," Harris continued, "but I want you to understand, we will be implementing mandatory training for our entire staff. Implicit bias, customer service, everything. What happened in there should never happen again." This time, Diane replied, not with anger, but with measured honesty. "I appreciate that, Mr. Harris," she said. "But if you want to change the culture, start by recognizing this wasn't just one man's behavior. When I walked into that showroom, no one greeted me. Not for 15 minutes. Meanwhile, 2 well-dressed customers had 2 salesmen each within seconds." He had no rebuttal. His practiced managerial composure faltered under the weight of truth. "Sometimes," she continued, "a moment like this is the wake-up call an organization needs. I hope you don't waste it." And with that, she rolled up the window and eased her sedan out of the parking lot. Later that evening, back at her lakefront apartment, Diane shared the story with her husband, Jonathan Carter. He listened carefully, nodding in that quiet, thoughtful way that only people who had built something from nothing could understand. The next morning, Diane received a call from Sarah Jenkins, a representative from Lakeside Motors, the dealership where Jonathan had bought cars for over a decade. "Your husband mentioned you might be car shopping," Sarah said kindly. "We'd love to assist you, and please, come as you are. We're here to help you find the right car, not to judge your wardrobe." That one sentence said everything. Meanwhile, back at Prestige, change had already begun. Rick Dawson's suspension would soon become permanent after further review revealed a pattern of similar complaints. His once polished reputation in Chicago's luxury auto scene would not recover. And for the rest of the team at Prestige, a new era of customer service training began, driven by the memory of one woman who came in quietly and left behind a storm of overdue accountability. In the days that followed Diane Carter's visit, Prestige Auto Gallery became a very different place. What began as an ordinary Tuesday had spiraled into a public relations crisis, and more importantly, a moment of reckoning. The story of what happened didn't stay confined to the glossy showroom floors. One of the customers present that day turned out to be a local lifestyle blogger with a sizable online following, especially among Chicago's professional and philanthropic circles. By midweek, Diane's experience, discreetly shared without naming names, was circulating across social media platforms and LinkedIn feeds. The post focused not just on the blatant disrespect she received, but also on her dignity, restraint, and quiet authority in handling the situation. While the dealership scrambled to manage its image, something more profound was happening behind the scenes. Rick Dawson, the senior salesman who had dismissed Diane so publicly, was officially terminated. As internal reviews were conducted, it became clear this wasn't his first offense. Former clients, some of whom had never spoken up before, came forward with eerily similar experiences, comments about appearances, assumptions about income, and subtle but unmistakable disrespect. Meanwhile, across town, Lakeside Motors was having a different kind of conversation. Marcus Thompson, the junior salesman who had first approached Diane with genuine courtesy, received a phone call from Sarah Jenkins, the client relations manager at Lakeside. She had heard from Jonathan Carter himself, grateful for the way Marcus had treated his wife when no one else would. The offer came quickly, a position at Lakeside with better pay, a healthier workplace culture, and mentorship opportunities. For Marcus, it wasn't just a step forward, it was a turning point. On his first day at the new dealership, Sarah greeted him warmly. "We're not perfect," she told him honestly, "but we believe in leading with respect. If you treat every customer like their time and dignity matter, you'll go far here." Back at Prestige, things weren't just uncomfortable, they were changing. The regional director ordered a full overhaul of staff training, including workshops on unconscious bias, inclusive service practices, and how to properly engage with all clients, regardless of how they dressed, spoke, or looked. The lessons Diane had embodied, grace, strength, and self-worth, were beginning to ripple outward. One by one, small changes took root. Staff were now required to greet every visitor promptly. Dress codes became less of a measure of perceived wealth and more about professionalism. And every team member was held accountable for how they made customers feel. Sometimes, real change doesn't happen through outrage or confrontation. It happens when one person chooses not to be silenced. Diane hadn't stormed out. She hadn't raised her voice. But by standing her ground, she had sparked a cultural shift at one of the city's most prestigious dealerships. A shift that would ultimately benefit countless people who, like her, simply wanted to be treated with respect the moment they walked through the door. 1 week later, a sleek, golden-crowned Victoria Sovereign pulled into the curved driveway of Diane and Jonathan Carter's lakefront home. The spring sun reflected softly off the vehicle's polished surface, but it wasn't just the car that glowed, it was what the car symbolized: dignity, patience, and a quiet, unwavering sense of worth. Jonathan stepped outside as Diane exited the driver's seat. He took one look at the car and smiled. "It's beautiful," he said sincerely. "But not nearly as beautiful as the woman driving it." Diane laughed and shook her head. "Still a charmer after all these years." He kissed her cheek and added, "Sarah Jenkins called earlier to thank me for referring you. She said you were one of the most prepared and knowledgeable clients she's ever worked with." "Good service brings out the best in people," Diane replied. "It's amazing what happens when someone sees you for who you are, not what you're wearing." They walked inside together, arm in arm, the new car gleaming quietly behind them. Over dinner that evening, Jonathan mentioned that the story had been making its way through his professional circles. "3 of my clients brought it up this week," he said. Some of them had seen the social media post from that blogger who happened to be in the dealership that day. Diane raised an eyebrow. "That wasn't the plan. I didn't want to cause a scene." "You didn't," he said. "You stood your ground." And that made the message even louder. Later that week, Diane received an email that brought a quiet smile to her face. It was from Marcus Thompson, the young salesman who had treated her with respect from the beginning. "Miss Carter, I just wanted to thank you. That day at the dealership changed more than I expected. I've started a new chapter at Lakeside Motors. They treat their team, and their customers, with the respect you reminded me is essential. I hope to carry that forward. Thank you for showing me the kind of professional I want to be." Diane reread the message twice before responding with a short but heartfelt reply. It wasn't about praise. It was about passing on a lesson. Sometimes, the most powerful statements aren't made with raised voices or headlines. Sometimes, they come from holding your head high when someone tries to look down on you, and refusing to let them define your value. The Sovereign, parked in the driveway, wasn't just a car. It was a reminder that respect is not a luxury, it's a birthright. And no matter how others may judge, the way we carry ourselves can become the lesson they never expected, but needed most. Diane Carter's experience at the luxury dealership offers more than a tale of prejudice and redemption. It's a reminder of timeless values that speak deeply to those who've lived long enough to know that appearances are rarely the whole story. For older adults, many of whom have experienced moments of being overlooked or underestimated, this story reflects a universal truth: dignity isn't given, it's upheld. Diane didn't need to raise her voice or flash her wealth to command respect. Her strength came from quiet self-assurance, patience, and a refusal to be defined by anyone else's assumptions. In a world that too often equates worth with wardrobe and status with surface, her presence sent a louder message than any confrontation could. One of the most profound lessons here is that character still matters. Integrity, kindness, and the courage to speak up, these don't fade with age, they deepen. Whether we're navigating relationships, service encounters, or community life, the way we carry ourselves continues to influence those around us. This story also reminds us of the ripple effect of one person's actions. Diane's grace didn't just change her own experience, it reshaped the culture of an entire business, inspired a young professional, and sparked conversations far beyond the showroom floor. As we grow older, we may not seek the spotlight, but we still have the power to shape our world. Sometimes, the most lasting impact doesn't come from demanding respect, but from quietly demonstrating that we deserve it all along.